Hello everyone, it's Lauren. Today I'm going to be reading the 6th chapter of A Mistaken Identity. This chapter is written by my friend Pearl, so let's get into it. Chapter 6, Isabelle. I straighten up and blink my eyes rapidly in an attempt to clear away my tears. I take deep breaths in and out. I sent a silent prayer to God, asking him to help me not to be afraid and to help me find my way home. That helps to clear my head a little bit, and I start thinking. So, obviously that guy, the taxi driver, either followed a different limo, or maybe he never saw a limo at all. I don't know, but the fact that he drove me all the way out here without asking me to pay still freaks me out a little bit. I lean down and pick up Sneakers, cradling her in my arms. I start walking down the alleyway, trying not to notice the graffitied walls and dirty, broken windows. All of a sudden, I hear a noise, a scuffling sound. I stop walking and listen. I hear more noises coming from behind me. I slowly and carefully turn around and strain my eyes to see in the dark. At first, I don't see anything at all. I look harder and observe some movement at the very end of the alleyway. A million things fly through my head. Is it a criminal coming to rob me? A rabid dog? Or someone coming to kidnap me? My first impulse is to scream and run for my life, but I force myself to stay calm and quiet. I convince myself to step closer to the noise, making sure to stay well hidden in the shadows. Suddenly I see two figures. After staring at them for a moment, I conclude that the smaller form is a girl who looks to be around my age, and the other is a middle-aged man. "I won't tell anyone, I promise," the girl says to the man, her voice high-pitched and scared. The man responds, his voice gruff and menacing. "If you do tell, I'll make sure." I strain to hear the next words, but his voice gets carried away on the wind. The breeze dies down and I can hear them again. "I've got the power to ruin your career. Remember that," the man snaps. Before the girl can respond, Sneakers lets out a low growl. "Shh, Sneak, quiet," I whisper, squatting down and trying to calm her, but it's too late. "What was that?" the man asks. He waits a few minutes, listening before turning back to the girl. "Okay, get going, but you heard what I said. One word and..." The man's voice trails off as he gets farther away. But I'm not gonna stay here and try to hear the rest. The man might come in search of the noise, so I have to get out of here. I spin around and silently but quickly run down the alleyway. So, it's not exactly silent, but it's as quiet as I can be while wearing flats that repeatedly slap against the pavement. I don't have to run for too long before I come to a dimly lit two-way street. It's pretty small and doesn't have many cars on it, but at least it's something, and at least it has a sidewalk. I start down the walkway, glancing behind me every few steps. I come to a bus stop with a phone booth just beyond it. I instantly reach into my pocket and pull out a few coins, which is all the money I have. I read the sign on the booth, $1.50 per call. I'm 4 cents shy. I stand there contemplating for a moment. I know a bus ticket would cost more money than a phone call. Probably most things that could help me in this situation would cost more money than I have. I look down at Sneakers, as if hoping she can give me the answers I need. I look up and down the street, finally picking a direction. I start running. After a few blocks, I see a black and white car cruising down the road. I freeze and stare at the car. Is it? Yes, it's a policeman. I run to the edge of the sidewalk and start waving my arms. The policeman in the car sees me and pulls off to the side of the road while talking into his radio. He steps out of the car, and before he can say anything, I'm blabbering about my day and how I'm lost and about the conversation I'd overheard in the alleyway. He just stands there and lets me talk, probably because I'm making absolutely no sense, or maybe he doesn't know how to deal with a hysterical teenage girl. After a while, I stop to catch my breath. He finally talks. "So I get that you're lost, and I can help you with that. Do you live in Paris?" I look up at him and nod. A catch in my throat stops me from replying. "What's your name?" he asks, as he leads me to his car. "Isabelle Gordon," I say. He shakes his head and barks into his walkie-talkie. Something about how this missing child is found. I start. Had my parents been so worried that they notified the police that I was missing? The policeman turns back to me. "You had a lot of people worried, Isabelle. I suggest you don't wander off like that ever again. Your parents have been notified that you've been found, and I'm going to take you home. You okay riding in the back?" the officer says, gesturing to the back seat of the vehicle. I'm practically shaking with relief. I'm going home. "Yes, of course," I say to him. Okay, hop on in. He throws open the back door and I slide into the car with Sneakers. He climbs into the driver's seat and starts the engine. I lean my head back on the seat and exhale slowly as the car starts moving. I must have dozed off for a minute because I suddenly wake when the car jolts over a large bump in the road. I look out the window to see the familiar stores and restaurants that are just a few blocks from my home. The lights of the Eiffel Tower glow in the night sky up ahead. I think about Briella. What if she's out in some terrible place all alone? I imagine her standing in a dark alleyway, shivering all by herself just like I was. I shudder and try to shake the feeling off. She disappeared in a limo. I doubt it would take her someplace terrible. A little while later, we pull up to the big gray apartment building that my family lives in. The officer opens the door of the police car and we head inside. When we get to the hall our apartment is in, I see my parents standing at our door. As soon as they see us, they come running. My mom, tears streak down her face, reaches me first and pulls me into her arms. I just stand there and let her hug me. I'm still clutching Sneakers, so I can't really hug her back. When my mom is lovingly chastising me and hammering me with questions, my dad joins in on the hug. I can tell that my mom is really wound up, but it's understandable. I was missing for almost 3 hours, and at night of all things. My dad just stays silent, but that's how he is. He's a quiet, thoughtful guy. My parents and I thank the police officer profusely, and a few minutes later, we are inside our apartment. Do you know where Briella is? I blurt out. Briella is safe and sound at her house, honey, my dad says. I feel like jumping for joy. Her parents called to let us know that they got her back home safely. My mother adds in. I think this is the happiest I have ever been in my entire life. Are you going to tell us how on earth you ended up in some alleyway an hour and a half from here all by yourself? We were so worried about you, my mom says, sounding agitated. I can easily tell them the whole story now that I know Briella is safe. If I tried before, I would have been an emotional wreck, but now I can relax. I thank God for getting both Briella and I safely home before launching into all the details of my day. So that was the 6th chapter of A Mistaken Identity. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll come back next Wednesday to hear the 7th chapter. Also, stay tuned for my video on Friday. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and have a great week.